You've heard about business automation and want to give it a try, but you're not sure where to begin or even what you can do. Today, we're going to cover those questions and show how Zapier can help automate your office tasks. Zapier is like an interpreter that allows office tools to communicate with each other and work together. I'm Bill Eastman, and this is the AI for Your Business channel. It's the channel business people can come to quickly learn how they can leverage AI. Click on the subscribe button below to be sure not to miss any tips and tools. Today's part one of a two-part series. We'll begin by listing a number of automation use cases with Zapier. Then we'll explore Zapier's website, show how to get started, look at pricing, and then we'll move on to some demos to get you underway. Let's dive in. When thinking about what you can automate, it's best to think through what manual steps you do each day, especially those that involve entering info or moving data from one system to another. Think of those times when you get some piece of info, you have to make an update to a system. If you're new to all this, it can be a little hard to generate ideas, and for me, seeing what others have done is a pretty good way to kickstart the process. So here I'm going to share some examples, and hopefully you'll see some that you can try for yourself. That's a pretty long list, so I'm going to put it into the show notes, and I'm just going to go through the category headers here and list off one use case. And remember, Zapier handles over 7,000 tools, so if you don't see your tool here, chances are you can just substitute yours in and it'll work just as well. So let's take a look through this list. It starts with client engagement and lead management. And here at the top we see you can do email alerts for new Facebook leads. So you get a new Facebook lead ad come in, and that will trigger Gmail to give you an alert. So you stay right on top of things. If we look at operations and back office tasks, we can back up email attachments. So you get a Gmail with an attachment. You can automatically save that attachment to your designated OneDrive or Google Drive account. And going on to project management, we have cross-tool task syncing. So you can keep Asana, Trello, and Jira in sync by forwarding new cards to or issues to the corresponding project and notifying your teams in Slack or Teams. And with marketing, you can do content curation for your social media. So you can pull posts from RSS feeds to Google Sheets into Buffer or Hootsuite, and that way maintain a consistent publishing schedule all automatically. We'll take a look at a few more industry-focused use cases. We'll start with real estate. You can do lead capture and CRM sync. So you get a new submission on your website lead form, and you can create a contact and follow-up box and post new lead notifications in Slack with that new lead's name and their property interest. And if we go on to the law office, you can do practice management. You can take a new Evernote note tagged with a matter name and attach the note's contents to that matter in Clio, and then create a Trello card with the matter name, client, and the due date. And that's all automatic. So take a look at these, and hopefully something will click with you and you can start saving time. Now let's see how Zapier can bring those use cases to life. Here on their website, we'll check out 4 areas: products, solutions, explore apps, and pricing. It also has a nice resources page where you can supplement what you learned in this video, but I'll leave that for you to explore. The products page lists a number of products, but we're going to focus on Zaps. Zaps are Zapier's fundamental product, and the others that you see here are nice to haves, but they cost extra and may not really add to the tools you already have. So we'll explore Zaps shortly. Solutions are broken up by team, app, and use case. The team links are mainly marketing crud, but they do have one useful section at the bottom with some useful Zapier actions. Paths are important. Based upon your initial info, say the status of a customer, you may want to take different actions. Paths allow you to do that. Filters are also important. You may want to take action if, say, a customer meets certain criteria. And formatting allows you to change the format of data in your initial tool, say a date, so that it works better with the tool that you're putting it into. And schedule is useful to time when you run your processes. And finally, webhooks and code steps are a little more advanced, so we'll come back to those in the next episode. Back in Solutions, the By App column shows a few well-known apps that Zapier works with. If we say check out HubSpot, we see a list of apps that HubSpot can integrate to. Google Sheets, Facebook Lead Ads, MailChimp, and on and on. Down the page are templates that you can use to jumpstart various actions. Let's try one. Add new HubSpot contacts to MailChimp. Here we see very basic action that gives you a sense of how all Zaps work. When this happens, it's known as the trigger. In this case, it's when a new contact is in HubSpot. Automatically do this is what's known as the action. In this case, the action is that a new subscriber is added to MailChimp. Most of what you do with Zapier is going to be variations of this. Down below that are different HubSpot triggers and actions that you can check out. You can click into them to learn more about the various possibilities. Back in the main solutions page, the By Use Case column gives you some use case categories. If you click into them, there's more marketing crud. But if you go down the page, you come across a collection of templates that fall under general use cases. Once again, they may give you some ideas or jumpstart you on an automation. Click into Explore Apps to see all the apps that you can automate with Zapier. In the middle, we see the most popular apps like HubSpot. On the left, the apps are broken down by category. For instance, if we click into app families, we see the largest companies, and then we can click into one to see their Zapier integrated apps. If we click on Microsoft, we see a number of well-known apps: Excel, Outlook, Teams, etc. And then we can pick categories to drill in on apps in those categories. Clicking on Sales and CRM reveals a submenu of categories. Let's choose CRM. Of course, that reveals a number of well-known CRM apps: Salesforce, Close, Clio, etc. And if you have a particular app that you want to go straight to, just enter it in the search bar. All right, let's get down to business. That usually means subscribing to a plan, but you don't have to decide that immediately because Zapier gives you a 14-day free trial. When the 14 days are up, Zapier offers a free plan, but that's so bare bones that it's almost useless, so you'll likely have to go with the $20 a month plan. Anyhow, just click all the Get Started buttons and go through the usual registration process. After you signed up, that puts you into a new home page. At the top of the page, we have the option to describe the automation we want and have Zapier's AI tool build the framework of a Zap for us. But today we're going to manually create a Zap to learn how Zaps work. We click the Create button on the upper left and choose Zap. And here we see the canvas for you to create your Zap. For the moment, we'll ignore their AI Copilot option and note the trigger and action boxes. As we saw, the trigger kicks off the Zap, and the action is what gets accomplished. Note the plus signs between the boxes where you can add filters and more actions. We'll start with a fairly simple Zap. We have a form on your website for interested parties to respond, and when they respond, we'll send them a follow-up message in Gmail and add a new contact in HubSpot. So we click on the trigger box, and the first thing that comes up is the app selection form. We're going to assume that our website is using Google Forms, but you could just as easily pick form tools like JotForm or Typeform. We click on Google Forms and the setup box appears on the right. We have a few choices for a Google Forms trigger event. We'll choose New Form Response. Now we have to set up Zapier to connect to our Google Forms account. Go through the usual Google sign-in procedure, and that'll bring you to the configure screen. Just pick the Google form that you want to use, and that'll bring you to the screen to test your trigger. If your form has responses, then Zapier will bring up a few of them, and if you click on one, it shows some dummy values from the form. It looks like it's all clear, so we'll continue with the selected record. That brings us to the event. We'll pick our application for it, in this case Gmail. Once again, we'll choose an action event, and this time there are a number of options, but we'll simply go with Send Email. We'll also have to hook Zapier into our Gmail account. So go ahead with that. Once you're done, you continue to the configure screen. Starting with the to box, when we click into it, we see it says slash for field mapping. We can type a slash or click the plus button, and that brings up fields for our Google form, which might be used for the to field in our email. Email is the obvious choice here, so we'll click on that. We won't do anything with Google Contacts or CC anyone, so we'll go to the from field and choose our email address. For our subject, we want to choose a value from the Google form, but we'll type in our own. Thanks for your inquiry. We could put the body into HTML, but we'll stick with plain text for now. For the body of the email, we can type in our content and combine it with the value from the Google form. You just type hello and then slash. And that'll bring up fields from the Google form, and you can select name. And that'll populate the name of the body, which you can follow up with something like, thanks for your inquiry. We can set up a call to review solutions for your business. Please let us know a good time and we will send an invite. And we see more options such as adding an attachment, but let's continue. We test the step and the green check mark up top says we're successful. So let's go ahead and publish. Once we've published it, we have an option to check out our zaps. And there we see our first zap. Yay! Now, there are a few things we can do with this zap. First, it ought to have a name. So we'll click into our untitled zap and go back into the canvas. At the top, we see the option to rename the zap. Good practice is to include the trigger and the action in the name. Let's go with Google, Form, Arrow, Gmail, and HubSpot. Then there's something else a little unsatisfying about our zap. In the body of the email, it says hello name, but let's make it a little more friendly than hello John Smith. Hello John sounds a little more welcoming, so let's break out the first name from the name. For the moment, we'll assume the respondent has entered their first name and last name divided by a space, and we could enforce that in our Google form if we needed to. So we're going to click Edit Zap, and after our trigger, we're going to click the plus. We're presented with the app selection menu again, and this time we choose the utilities menu. If they're in there, we see the formatter tool, and that allows us to manipulate text in various ways. Clicking on formatter brings us back into the canvas with a new box and the setup menu on the right. Under action event, we see a few options, and we choose text and continue. We're now in the configure screen, and in transform from the list of possible actions, we choose split text. That opens up a few more selection boxes. In the input box, we choose name. If we click on separator, we get some helpful info. There's a linked document with various splitter fields, and it tells us space is the default. Therefore, with the separator field, we'll just go with the default. And since the first name is going to be the first entry in relation to the space, we'll choose first as the segment index. When we continue, that brings us to the test screen. And when we click test, the green arrow shows us we were once again successful. We continue through it and publish. And now in our Zap page, we see the rename Zap along with an extra icon for our formatter step. Let's take our Zap one step further now by adding the respondent to our HubSpot contacts. Back in the canvas, we'll click Edit Draft and then the plus button below the Gmail step. We find HubSpot right here and click on it. Then for our action event, we'll choose Create Contact. We move on to connect Zapier to our HubSpot account with the usual registration steps. Mapping your Google Form fields to the HubSpot contact fields may be the trickiest part. A little advanced thought on the design of your Google Forms could make it a little easier. HubSpot offers a plethora of potential fields for a contact, but for this demo, we'll only go with a few that align with our Google form. We'll begin with the company name, which corresponds to the company field in the form. We'll move on to the email address. And since we've already broken out the first name into its own field in the formatter, we'll choose that field from the formatter. We'll need to add another formatter to break out the last name, so we'll skip that for now. Finally, for contact information industry, we'll link it to the form's industry field. There's also non-form information that we can enter at this stage so that we don't have to enter it later in HubSpot. For instance, these respondents will be new contacts. So for contact information journey stage, we'll choose new contact. Now let's test it out. And it looks like our addition to the Zap was set up correctly. Let's go ahead and publish it. I'll go offline now, and I'm going to enter a new Google Form submission. And voila, there it is in HubSpot. So now whenever someone responds to our Google form, we not only automatically send a confirmation email, we also add a contact within HubSpot. Okay, that's it for today. Zapier opens up dozens of opportunities to automate your office tasks, and I hope you've seen some things today that you can try. If you have any questions or would like more details, please leave a comment. Next episode, we're going to go into more depth with Zapier and show how to combine it with ChatGPT to create really powerful automations. So please subscribe to not miss these and other ways to optimize your use of AI. And if you've gotten some value today, please leave a like. Till next time, good luck with your business.